I know.
Hi.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Shalom. Good to see y'all. And it looks like we got a few people in here. So, first of all, my name is Matt here with Grafter Branch Homestead. If you guys know me and you're here all the time, welcome back and thanks for showing your support. And hopefully tonight's a little interesting. If you don't know me, then well, my name is Matt, and I'm here at the Grafter Branch Homestead on our Southwest Desert homestead. And we're learning skills and doing the things as much as we can now. And so let's see here. First of all, we got a couple people in here. Mr. Landfill is in here right away. Thank you, Mr. Landfill, for showing up. And I hope you're having a good evening. He says he won't last too long tonight. He installed an AC unit at his daughter's house and it wrecked you. Yeah, I understand. That can be very tiring. Tonight probably won't be too long anyways. We had a lot going on. I'm going to change my background, though, because I got that moving one, and it's a little distracting to me. So give me just a moment. We'll put a night sky, maybe. Let's see. There we go. That'll do. There we go. All right. So welcome, and thanks for showing up and showing your support, Mr. Landfill. If you do hop off, I completely understand there. So we also have Psych. Hello, and I'm assuming you're tired as well, since Psych was actually with us today. And then we got Renegade Black Sheep in here. Good evening. Good to see you. Nikki. Hey, Nikki. Good to see you. We got Kermode Bear. Shalom. Good evening. Verna. Hey, Verna. Good to see you. All right. And so I wasn't sure. I think I got everyone. Okay. There we go. If I didn't, I'm sorry. And then to all you watching replay, good evening or morning or whenever you're watching this as well. Say, I did fail to get my thumbnail up early, kind of as usual, so I wasn't sure how many people would be here. It's also everyone's out doing things this time of year. It's been busy, as have we. So let's see here. I hope you guys are all doing good. If we got about 8 people in here, that's awesome. If you haven't, give a thumbs up or down, I guess, if you like. That's up to you. But so tonight we got a couple things going on. I feel like I've been living under a rock kind of the last few weeks. Just so much outside and stuff. I haven't been on the internet and around too much, so I know I've missed a lot of people's streams and the stuff they have going on. Verna, I missed yours. This morning we were heading out, and my plan was to catch some of your stream as we were driving in there. But we decided to go where the Wi-Fi runs low, and we headed out into the mountains into a lake. And so I had no service whatsoever, so I was not able to join. How many fish did you catch? Well, we will get to that there, Verna. We will. Let me see. I'll go ahead and move on tonight. So normally Saturday night streams, I plan on it lasting about an hour. I usually say it's going to go shorter, and it tends to end up around there. I don't know how long tonight's will go because I am pretty exhausted. We got back about 2 hours ago, an hour and a half ago into town. But a couple things going on tonight, and that I some plans for the stream. And so first of all, just some catch up and going ons around the urban homestead here, what we've been doing this last week and what we will be doing. Also going to have some bunker chat. I have a short bunker chat tonight, and that is again on power, but on some alternatives. So a little bit of thought-provoking stuff there, hopefully, to get some people thinking. And then a little bit of homestead talk, where I want to talk for a moment about how many birds do you actually need on your homestead. And so with that, first of all, yeah, oh, you saw my post. Okay. Yes, I was with you there. I gave my thumbs up, Verna, and I'll go back and watch the replay. If you guys haven't checked out Verna's stream, anyone watching, Great community, really awesome stuff. And so I definitely want to catch up on that. So let me see. First of all, I hope everyone's safe. You guys are okay. I know there's a lot of stuff going on with weather, tornadoes and things through Oklahoma. From what I understand, Texas had some power outage, and there's a lot going on in the world right now. So I hope everyone's okay, doing all right. I don't really know. Here we've been doing good. We've gotten some storms, which is nice. A little bit of rain. We did have a good hailstorm. Nothing major, a lot of wind. That's about what we get here in New Mexico. And so we'll go ahead and hop right into it then. So some of the going-ons here on the urban homestead, as far as urban homestead goes, is we had been recently raising and getting some new chickens into our flock. Actually 2 flocks. And so we've been integrating them in, and that's gone really well. And it's actually finally, hopefully tonight, a success. And so what I mean by that is we raised up 2 silky chickens to be a flock for our 1 single silky. And those new chickens we had taken into a dog kennel or a little brooder, and we moved that outside and we put it into Nikki's temporary enclosure, and we allowed her to see each other, be kind of acquainted with each other. We did that for a couple nights, and then I started leaving that cage out there, and then I left the cage open, and then I took the cage away, and now they're all getting along. They've been running around the yard playing and all. And so that's been going really well. We also got some new brown leghorn chickens. And to integrate those, we ended up putting them in a coop area behind my quail shack, in a separate coop, I guess, run. And so they could see, it was right next to my other chickens. They could see them. We did that for a little while. And then what I did was I raised up that wall just a little bit. And this is actually a method I found. This was the easiest chicken integration we've done. It's our 3rd one now, I guess 4th if you include the silkies. This worked great. So I don't know how y'all do it. Chicken integration sometimes can be frustrating and sometimes not. But what I did was I raised that one wall, or that one little doorway, I guess, thing blocking the doorway in between the 2 areas, enough so that the little chickens could get under, but the big ones couldn't. And so that allowed the little ones to get under, to explore, to hang around in the coop run area with the bigger chickens. And then when they were being attacked, it gave them a way to flee. And so that was an idea I actually got from Katrina. She was talking about how she does her quail out in the aviary, kind of like that. And so when she puts her baby quail out, she'd have a little area that was lower so they could get under it and the big ones couldn't chase them. And that worked great. And so we did that for about a week, and I would allow the little baby chickens back in their area at night, and I would move them into the quail shack, into their little brooder, which is a bigger dog crate. Did that for a couple nights. Then now we are on to, when night falls, I've now kicked those little chickens out of that one back area into the main area with all the other chickens. And so they're there. And I've been going out and kind of forcing them into the coop and blocking it off. And tonight's night 2. So things should be going there. So chicken integration worked out well. This was by far the easiest chicken integration I've done. Of course, you're always going to get a little bit of pecking. They're going to reestablish their pecking order, maybe some egg disruption or things like that going on. With integrating, that's part of it. You kind of have to, hey, Brooke, you're here. You did. Good to see you. Mr. Landfill's minding everyone, thumbs up. That does help out tremendously. So appreciate that. But I'm going to post another video on that. Part of our urban homestead experience here, or goal, is to learn. So we are city folk, if you will, and we are trying to learn all this stuff. And so doing it here on this urban homestead before we get more land, or on the small scale, is really helping us out. And so part of that has been, if you own chickens and you are including new birds into your flock, we do it every year. And I'll talk about this a little bit more when I get into the how many birds you actually need in your flock, in your homestead later. But we've been integrating new ones every year so as to keep up with egg production and things like that. And each time it has been a different experience, of which most I've recorded and shared, but it's been a battle to integrate them and get the flocks, either integrating new birds in or integrating flocks together. It can be a pain in the butt. Hey, we got Farm for Truth. Good to see you. Welcome. You're new to this channel. Well, hey, we certainly appreciate you being here. Anyone new? And so that was a success. And then let's see here. As far as plants go, because we got our animals, we got our stuff going on there. We're learning also about our gardening and our plants and trying to be more self-sufficient in all kinds of ways. And so with that, this year's gardening has been a success in many of the ways last year's garden was not, and a failure in many of the ways last year's was a success. So this is part of gardening. For those of you that think you're just going to get out there and do it, good luck with that. I find that not to be the case. So this year, we did really good with our plant starts inside. Just about everything's from seed. We did really good with them not being lanky, getting proper nutrients, and a good start. And we started those in here. We took them out to the greenhouse. We hardened them. They did really well. We put them in the garden. We had a pill bug infestation. Long story short, because I talked about it a lot, but pill bug infestation kind of wiped out a lot of those. And so we battled that. We did have to use some Sluggo Plus, which is an organic gardening product. It's just a heavier one. I only use if you have infestation, really. And so got rid of that. We had to replant. Luckily, we had extra plants in the greenhouse. I have more than I need. And so put those and replanted, and they were doing okay. With that, we had been battling our sprouts, or our direct sow seeds out in the garden popping up. Those pill bugs, again, were eating those away. So we battled those using the Sluggo Plus, and then using Dixie cup ring collars, if you've seen that. So you basically just make a hole in the bottom of the Dixie cup and you put it over the plant shoot and bury it a little bit. And so the bugs can't get to it. We did that. That worked out. Our other bigger problem, or a big problem with our plant starts, was the birds coming down and pulling them out. And for whatever reason this year, sparrows have been going crazy throughout our garden and just pulling everything up. So we've been battling that with bird netting. So now we've got our plants in the garden, all the ones from starts that we've done, our tomatoes and zucchinis, all those different things are doing well. They're established, their roots are going well. We've stopped pulling the flowers off the peppers and tomatoes and things, and have started allowing them to fruit. And now our little sprouts, our direct sow things like the basil, chamomile, stuff like that, is now getting a chance to come in. So that's starting to come up. Here in New Mexico, our temperatures in the days right now are about, or where I'm at, about 80 degrees in the 80s in the day, and then the 40s at night. And so we're coming up here this next week on it picking up to about in the 50s at night. So that's going to really allow for those sprouts to get their boost and get going. So proper nutrients and all that, and we'll get them going. Oh, Mr. Landfill, you have a good evening if you're out of here. Have a safe one. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you for your support there. Nikki said, got new chicks growing out here. Found some local American breeze chicks. Very cool. Oh, they're so cute. That is one thing I've seen. I've missed a lot of YouTube this week, but I've seen a lot of people posting videos of their little chicks running around. And oh, man, it's fun. It's a great time of year. Shalom, shalom. And okay, saying goodnight to Phil. Verna's got sweet potato slips growing like crazy. How cool. I love me sweet potatoes. We do not have any in the garden this year. Very cool, Verna. So I'm glad to hear those are doing well for you. Squirrels are your biggest nuisance. A lot of people, I hear that a lot here, that people really battle the squirrels. We have one squirrel here that is emaciated and looks like he's been stealing people's illegal products or things. He looks like crap. And so we haven't had to battle him this year. He's kind of been off, staying away from their nets. But I hear people battle squirrels a lot. What do you do for squirrels? Is it so here for the birds, we're using bird net and the hardware cloth or chicken cloth. Sorry, my nose is itching. We do that for the birds and cats and things. We don't have a lot of other pests though in the urban setting. So I'm curious what you do to keep squirrels away. All right. So those are some of the battles, some of what we got going on with plants. Now is the time also for some of our plants to start picking and preserving, actually. So if you're unfamiliar with us here, or even if you are, we do a lot of herbs here on the Grafted Branch Homestead. I like to make a lot of my own products, shampoos, things like that. We also sell herbal teas. You can check out our website, but we have a lot of herbs. And so we got some that are ready. Our yarrow, our purple and white yarrow are going crazy, and it's time for me to start picking those and drying some of that. We got lavender is starting to go crazy, so it's time to pick that, start drying that. So we're gonna be doing some preserving here on the homestead. Fall's not the only time. Not much you can do where you are just planting excess, and that's part of the plan. So one of the things my wife had told me she tells me, why do you plant so many? Well, I planted in excess this year, and it helped. It came in handy. So I got some died, some made it to the greenhouse, some died in hardening. Some we planted, and then of course, because of the pill bugs, we had to replant. I was able to plant another person's garden for him and sell some plants as well. So yeah, plant a lot of extra. Here we go. Verna's got some advice. To battle squirrels, when you plant starts, take paper bathroom Dixie cups. You knock out the bottom of the cup and slip them more of the seedlings. So it's kind of like we did for the pill bugs. All right. Not in an area that takes kindly to trapping and shooting. It does take kindly, I'm guessing. I don't know how kindly they take to trapping and shooting, but our sparrows have been getting crazy here. So there has been a little bit of airsoft going on to get rid of them. They really enjoy eating your celery. Oh man, celery is one thing I cannot get going here in the desert. And most of my loofahs, if you've been watching my channel, I started planting the loofah gourds right away in excess. They're just not doing well. They do not like the climate here, I guess. So I've been doing a little bit of preserving, and then kind of what's next as far as the garden or the growing for the homestead coming up here. So I feel like I'm talking really fast. Sorry. It's been a long day and I haven't had dinner yet. No dinner and 2 cups of coffee. But so what's coming up next? Now that we got our greenhouse more or less cleared out, we have some new starts in there. I'm getting my lemongrass going again in there and some of the things that didn't take. But now is going to be the time for me to work on the greenhouse a little bit. It's going to get shaded. It's going to get some fans because right now it's sitting at 115 degrees in there. So it's going to get a little bit of that. And then we're going to hit that greenhouse hard with lettuces and some of those types of things that are going to die out in my garden pretty quickly. That way we have those products. So one thing I've learned with gardening and trying to be more self-sufficient and do things for ourselves and less of the grocery store, although we still do that, but less of it, is with growing things, at least where I'm at, lettuce and tomatoes and salad stuff doesn't grow at the same time. So if I'm going to want my salads with tomatoes and all that in it, I got to get some lettuce going in the greenhouse too. So we're going to start hitting it with that. And then in, a month or so here, I'll start planting some fall things in there. So I'm going to start, probably about 2 months. We'll start getting some garlic, stuff like that going, and then able to move outside. We'll wait on that a little bit. But some of the next, I have my new corn area. So we've been preparing our new plot for corn. So that will go in this next week here. Syke says he has a good fan in his sunroom. He doesn't use much. Oh, yeah, I will hit you up about that. Definitely. So those are some of the going-ons, just some of them. And as far as the homestead goes, as far as our lives, a ton has been going on too. So my oldest son actually got a job as a lifeguard, which I think is awesome. I did a lot of swimming growing up and loved spending time in the pool. And to see him doing that is really cool. And then as a job, so it's his first job. So we're experiencing that. And he has a ton going on. My younger son is graduating elementary school this year. So he will be moving on to something new. And so that's a ton of fun. This summer, me and him are really going to be working on the garden and on fishing and doing some of that. And so we're really excited about that. And then I guess that kind of brings me to today. And so what we did today. Today we decided, actually, we were invited by Psych, who's in here, to head up and to go fishing. And so we don't go fishing a lot. We're out here in the desert. There is fishing available, but we're also kind of city people going country, if you will. And so I don't do a lot of fishing. The last time I went was years ago. I'm a horrible fisherman. But we thought it would be fun. So we packed up. We headed about an hour and a half, 2 hours north here in New Mexico, up into the mountains, past Jemez Springs, over to Fenton. And we went to Fenton Lake. Now, I know a lot of you who have lakes will probably laugh because I think Fenton Lake's about, about 300 feet across probably. You can make out the soda can someone has over there. I think it's 37 acres, but it's kind of spread out. So it's a pond lake. But we went fishing. A ton of people there. It was a ton of fun though. And so, yeah, okay. So it's 37 acres and sits at about 8,000 feet up. And it's nestled down in the mountains. And so you get no phone service there whatsoever. It was a ton of fun. We had a little bit of success. And so I'll show that here, a little clip of that. And then I'll show what I caught. And then at the end of the stream, we'll do some more clips on that. But let me go ahead and show this real quick. Joel got his second fish. Let's go see. Did you get your second one? Ooh, that's a nice one too. Look, 2 trouts. Let's see it. I'll take a picture. Very cool. Very nice trout. Thank you. Yeah. Here. You should. Will you get me for a minute? Just for Casey, come here. Record me fishing for a minute, but don't fall in the water because you're backing up. Alright, this is the cast that's gonna catch our dinner. Are you ready? Record it, okay? And then catch it. It's gonna catch dinner. Well, it might catch mommy and then she'll have to make dinner. Oh, but we got pine tree for dinner.
Yay!
All right, so that was the winning cast, but I'll show you the catch in just a moment here. I love fishing too, Verna. It was so much fun to get out there. It's been so long, and Casey's a little older now, so it was fun to experience it. Now, I have learned with fishing with kids at all or anything, I put on that hat and spend a lot of time as Matt's bait and tackle and repair shop. And so we did set up a canopy, and I got my station going and was lining and relining poles and doing a lot of that, but it was a ton of fun. But let me go ahead and get you to the winning catch. And so maybe this will explain why I haven't had dinner yet. You did great. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it so much. Didn't catch anything. In case you saw, I caught some pine needles. That's what I caught. But we had a lot of fun. Psych took us up there. He invited us up there. And so he caught a couple fish and some rainbow trout. And so that was awesome. To answer your question, Verna, I did not catch anything. And so we do plan on doing a lot of fishing this summer. I really want to, I got the vehicle that can get up there and the gear. And so now it's easy to load up and go. And so we plan on doing a lot of that this summer, hopefully. But that was a ton of fun. So we spent the whole day doing that and got back not too long ago here. So thank you, Psych, for inviting us. That was a ton of fun. Well, if we were close, Verna, I'd say let's go. But yeah, that's what it's all about. Yes, good fiber. So you could boil that down and make some pine needle tea. You can actually even eat pine cones. Now, when I looked up in that tree, I thought of a homesteading tip, I guess. I was looking up in that tree, getting my line down and thinking, man, part of homesteading is financial, of course. Everyone's always wanting to know how to make money to support yourself, support the homestead. And so I'm looking up at this tree thinking, hey, if you crawled up there and cut down all the lures that all these people have lost up in these trees, you'd have a pretty bit of money. You could sell those and make some money. There was tons of them all in that tree. But yeah, it consumed. Yeah, and so some of the people caught a lot of fish, though. It was really neat. But all right. So let's see here. I got a little bit of notes. I tried to jot some stuff down to keep me on track a little bit here. So that was Fenton Lake. That was a ton of fun. All right. So the next part I kind of talked about a little bit, but it's going to lead me into my next little piece here, and that is really just how is everyone doing? I had mentioned it earlier. I know there's storms and different types of storms in different parts of the country and all. Here we don't have a whole lot of weather going on, but I hope you guys are doing okay. You're safe and all. So what spurred me thinking, and our next segment here is my bunker chat, and this is where I just like to talk about being prepared for whatever. And what spurred me on this was a couple things. So last week or last few weeks, I've kind of been talking about power outages, solar power. I tend to talk about that quite a bit, I guess. And so I was planning on talking about something else and moving my bunker chat to something else. And then I saw kind of what was going on in Texas, and I only briefly saw it a little bit. Weather is great currently. Awesome. And where are you at there, if you don't mind, or what area of the country? Kermode Bear? No, yep, get Lucy out. So someone's showing us there. Yep, Nightbot will show your conditions if you type in weather and then your zip code. And if you have a channel and you would type in GBH, as in Grafted Branch Homestead, capital GBH, it will drop your channel link in the chat there. But so I guess in Texas had a lot of power outages, from what I understand. A whole lot of people without power because of some weather things. I think some power lines went down or some towers or something like that. You're in the northeast area. Oh, okay. So very, very neat. Very different than here. And so that got me thinking, and I was like, well, maybe I don't want to move on from power stuff. And so I talk a lot about power, having solar power. I've been talking about getting my freezers on backup solar systems, things like that. And my concern with this is, no matter what the emergency is, or disaster or storm or whatever, one of the first things or problems people usually always run into is power outage. And that's because a lot of things bring the power down. The wind can bring the power down, the snow, a tornado, a hurricane, whatever you're having. There's a lot of things of emergency or disaster type scenarios that can cause a power outage and cause that to be something you need to think about. So I'm going to play this little video clip here real quick, or a little opening to my talk, and then we'll dive into that a little bit. All right. So this week I kind of just wanted to talk about, so your power's out, now what? And primarily, I didn't want to focus on the solar generators, getting that out, getting your flashlights out, getting all that. I wanted to focus on alternatives a little bit. So one of the things or themes I kind of do on my channel throughout everything is I like to figure out the way to do it. Like, for example, how you grow wheat, how you harvest wheat, how you make bread. And so we've done all that. I want to know how to do it with an electric grinder and electric means. I also want to know how to do it manually. So kind of everything I do here on the homestead, I like to, as part of my self-sufficiency or reliance, preparedness, whatever you have it, may have, I like to also know how to do things manually and have the means to do it as well. I think it's important whether I want to go off grid or I have a disaster or I just don't want to use power or maybe I didn't hit the gym. And so I can do this. And so I think that's very important. So this week, kind of what I wanted to talk about is, so the power's out, maybe it's out for a while, but really some alternatives, and hopefully I can spur people a little bit of thought to have maybe some of these things on hand, or at least think in that way. What if you can't use the flashlights? What if you can't use the power generators or solar things for some reason or something like that? Do you have means where you don't need power maybe? And so there's a lot of things you can do. I have here my manual grain mill. I also have a couple other things here. Oops. So this is I think it was a 100-hour candle. They're the emergency candles. Now this one I've used already, so it's maybe a 70-hour candle. But having things like this on hand are great for light. And things like that. And so things that don't require electricity. A lot of people used to always have candles on hand. Sometimes people still do. People like to burn little tea candles and decorative ones. Sometimes you have other candles. But a lot of times people don't anymore. It's not a very common thing. And candles are great to have. If you can't do the flashlight or anything like that, it's a good idea to have some candles on hand. Now we just celebrated Shabbat here, so that ended, but we light our candles every Friday evening. So I got candlesticks. That's another thing. Have candles, have candlesticks, or little trays, things you can put the candles in, right? So we have candlesticks. Those are always handy. We also happen, because we do Shabbat, we have a lot of candles on hand. So I have boxes and boxes of these ready to go. And so this, we have hours and hours and hours of candles to burn just in these alone. Plus we have the emergency ones and other ones around. But these boxes are cheap. They're fairly inexpensive. If you don't have a pair of candlesticks, you can grab a pair of candlesticks in a box like this and just throw these in, in the closet somewhere. And that's going to be a means of light if maybe you have flashlights and things like that and you've used those. The power went out and now your batteries are out. What do you do? Or you want to conserve those batteries. So different things to think about. All right, so you got some power. You got maybe you got your other means of cooking. You can, grind your grain or do different things like that. These are just some examples. But, and like I've showed before, everyday items. So as you go throughout your day, maybe just be aware a little bit of the different things you do as you make your food, as you wash your clothes, or as you go about different tasks. How would I do this without power maybe? So how would I wash my clothes without power, or do different things like that? And so this is something you can throw up on the shelf. I've talked about before. Now, if you're without power and you're thinking either beyond or not using generators and things, that means your freezers, fridges, stuff like that, that's probably not going to be an option. So maybe at this time you've moved on to a powerless option and you've whipped out your pressure canner and you started pressure canning all those foods that are in your freezer, trying to preserve them up, right? Some time's gone on. You can use that pressure canner. Is great at preserving. If you need to do things kind of quickly or preserve items that maybe aren't food, but you want them to or aren't like meats and things, but you want them to last longer. I've done a video before on it, but I'll show it really quickly. Is doing vacuum sealing your mason jars, or a lot of people have the electric ones where you suck the air out and you can keep your crackers and things like that fresh for a really long time. This here is a brake bleeder. So this is great. You can attach this to your attachment that goes on the jars that attaches to like a food saver onto the jar. Fill that up and then use this manual brake bleeder to seal that jar. And so there's a lot of ways you can go about doing things without electricity. Last week we talked about planning, doing some little bubble graphs and spurring some thought. And that's really what it's about. Go throughout your day, give it a little bit of thought. That way, if the time comes, you've already put a little bit of thought, a few minutes into that. This is a book I wanted to share just because I think it's neat. I have nothing to do with it, but it's The Lost Ways. Probably a lot of people have heard of it. This one is What to Do When There's No Power. Let's see. Well, anyways, so it just has all sorts of different things you can build and how to do different things. This in itself, though, is kind of my example, and that is have books. A lot of people have how to do things, saved digital format, or they figure maybe they'll search for things on their phone or have it saved there. But if you're looking for powers out and you're looking for alternatives and stuff, that's not going to be an option. So besides the fact that that's what this book's on, get books. Keep books on hand on how to garden, on how to do all these different things, because you may not remember this stuff. I forget things from year to year constantly. So books, have those on hand. A couple things there, and then I'll grab some comments. Antiquities, yes, are great for finding things. Old clothes ringers. Oh man, I've been looking for one of those. I want one of those vintage. Oh, I can't think of a name. There's a brand, but Rain Country. She showed hers on that channel. If you've seen it, I've been looking for one of those ringers. Biggest issue with modern clothes is using ringers are the buttons. Oh, okay. I didn't think about that. Well, that's a good thing to think about. So with my whole process here, maybe this is a side trail or a rabbit trail, but with self-sufficiency and preparedness and all these things I'm doing, part of that has been I've been making my own. Now I've been using store-bought ones lately because I've gotten busy, so I'm going to make more. I just ran out, but I've been making my own shampoos and deodorants and laundry detergents, things like that. I think it's great to do so, and I kind of lost my one moment here. But part of that too is being so I want the items I put in and on my body, I've been trying to be more aware of, cutting chemicals out and stuff like that. Now I take this from biblical stuff, but I think there's also a lot of health reasons to it, is actually the types of materials you wear, the clothing you wear and stuff like that. And so that was just talking about clothing, kind of took me onto a little note about that. But don't forget about medical prep. Yes. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I do want to talk about that. So let's see. Don't forget about medical prep. There was a massive cyber attack that, yes, took down Ascension Healthcare. No labs, x-rays, patient portals were down, ambulances turned away. And this happened just a week ago. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of craziness right now. And as summer goes on, I'll backtrack a little bit. The hairs on my back of my neck stand up a little bit sometimes. You know, they kind of give me that spidey sense, the mat sense. And when I guess maybe intuition or whatnot, but I'm looking at the weather and all these different things. I'm looking at how many electric appliances people have, how many more freezers people are plugging in because of inflation and they're worried about stuff. Electric cars, I'm kind of seeing almost a perfect storm coming into this power thing, and I don't see anything being done about it. So that's why I tend to talk a lot about that. But at the same time, yeah, medical's an issue. And so this is when you're talking about power out or planning for alternatives, as my bunker chat is tonight, you also got to plan on if infrastructure's down too. Yeah, you're right. Those hospitals may have generators and stuff, but can you get to the hospital? Can you do those things? You may have to be your own doctor. Oh, so I'm going to grab another book. Keep books on hand. Very important. Prepper's Natural Medicine. I also have What to Do When There's No Dentist, What to Do When There's No Doctor. keep these books on hand. And when it comes to medical and you may have to be your own doctor, it kind of gets a little wishy-washy there, because if it's something really, really important, I may or may not be able to handle that. So when it comes to medical, I think knowledge is going to be one of your biggest tools. Read it, practice it. I'd really like to get to Refuge medical classes. I have some of that gear, so you can stock up gear, definitely. But you need to practice things and learn things and have those skills and knowledge. Because when it comes to medical stuff, in my opinion, I think a lot of times what can make the biggest difference is time, and is if you know kind of what to do yourself off the bat and you can do something before medical care arrives, you may be able to save that person's life, even if you don't have all the knowledge or equipment or stuff. For example, if someone is bleeding out and you have a tourniquet and you know, because you've done some practice on that, to do that tourniquet, you could save that person's life until the medical attention arrives, or until you can figure it out other means, hopefully. So I think having supplies on hand, you can get yourself Jace case or things like that, antibiotics, but also knowing alternatives, knowing the herbs you can use, the alternatives for antibiotics, multiple means. So when it comes to medical, I think knowledge is going to be your biggest asset there. Your biggest, whether power's on or off. When it comes to medical, I think knowledge is definitely going to be your biggest. And then, of course, have supplies on hand as well. Let's see. Learn fermentation and to preserve food. Yeah, there's another good way of doing it without power. You can do it with salt. You can do it with fermentation, sugar, all kinds of things. So, and that's part of skills, and it's knowledge. So just learn those different things. So if the power does go out, you're not freaking out thinking, oh man, I don't have Google, I don't know how to do this. You think, I got a stockpile of salt here, I got my brake bleeder here, I got my different things. Let's get at this and preserve this, right? Give you a heads up, or a head start, hopefully. And yep, you're a nurse and have been prepping. So Refuge Medical, I've talked about them a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and give them a little talk or little shout, I guess, just because. Oh, I guess I don't have my sticker right here. I have a lot of my sanctified stickers. Where'd my Refuge one go? There it is. So I did this a little bit backwards. And I'm going to explain, but Refuge Medical, I like, if you guys aren't familiar. Bear heads that up and does a great job with it. I think he even emphasizes the knowledge in classes more so, though, too. And so they offer some great products. I went ahead and I got my IFAC and stuff from him. And as he talks about, I quickly learned that I don't know how to use all these things. I don't know how to do a nasal diffenflarage. I can't even say it. I don't know how to do those things. So Refuge Medical offers the classes too. I'm saving up to do it, but you can go to the classes and learn, and they're all about getting that knowledge. One of the reasons I really like them too is they hire people, and I think treat them like people, allow them to do their religious observations and things, and they run the company the way I would like to. So I'm starting my own little company. Our family has our herbal tea business, and we sell some other things like that too. And part of my goal is, if I do ever get big, if I do ever get big, is to be able to employ some people, and to do so that I can give them a life that a good life, and one that gives them options and things. For example, where I'm at now, I don't always have the options to have Sabbath offered, to do things like that. And so I want to provide that. Anyways, Refuge Medical, great. I went on some completely rabbit trails there, sorry. And I'm about to end the bunker chat segment. So just a moment here. Wow, 43 minutes. Yeah, so I've watched a lot of the classes, and I don't give myself enough credit. I do a lot of research. I could probably figure it out on my own, but there's nothing like actually doing it, in a class setting with an instructor. Hey, thank you very much, Verna. I do appreciate that. All right. Knowing also helps with not panicking. Yes. Okay. That is a good point. In an extreme situation, preparing yourself can help you think clear in chaos. So those first few moments when you may have to be figuring things out, in a bad situation can make a world of difference. And just by the fact of knowing you've put a little bit of thought and you have a little bit of these skills, or you've done a little bit of this, can be a huge difference in whether you go into panic mode or you go into triage mode and start handing out orders and getting things done. In a real extreme bad situation, when moments matter, that can be the difference right there. So excellent point. I got you, Brooke. I knew what you meant. Okay, cool. So if anyone else has any other comments or questions or anything maybe on my little bunker chat segment here, go ahead and put those in now. I'll give it just a moment, and then I'm going to move on. Let's see. Fitness, Keith just passed lifeguard certification. Yep. Included Red Cross CPR training, makes me already feel safer. Yeah. And so good point there. A lot of people and places offer CPR training. Now, I haven't taken refuge class, but that doesn't mean I haven't done anything. So I am CPR certified. I have taken basic first aid classes, and then of course YouTube school as far as how to do things like that. I have learned how to do tourniquet and a couple of those things. Now, for example, when you do CPR, there's some things you don't expect that happen. And I'll use this as an example. So when you're doing chest compressions, a lot of times when you push hard right away, you may crack the ribs. You may break a little bit there pushing down. And a lot of times people either don't push hard enough, or that scares them and that freaks them out. And that's something that can only be learned by taking a class or by doing it and successfully doing it. And so that's something that you may think, oh, I know how to do CPR. I got, do the chest compressions and stuff. And when you come to that point, you either freak out or don't do it hard enough. So by practicing a little bit or taking classes and skills, that can set you apart. Yep. Yes, good point too there, Verna. Yeah, so CPR in infants is different in adults and with children and stuff. So that's part of that knowledge, part of those classes. This is why I personally think YouTube's great and stuff, but sitting in front of an instructor face to face where you can ask questions is awesome, because a lot of times those instructors have prepared this type of stuff and they'll let you know about infants, children, adults. Whereas if you just watch it on YouTube and stuff, you may only catch that creator's view on a segment of that, if that makes sense. Okay, awesome. Cool. So bunker chat with Matt. Be prepared for anything always, right? So now we're going to move on to my last little segment. I probably will go over an hour right at tonight. And this was, I just kind of wanted to talk on, this is my homestead talk. And it's really a question I have, and that is, how many birds do I need, or how many birds do you need? And I'm not going to give you an answer. I'm just going to give you a thought process, I guess, as to what I'm thinking. And so right now on our urban homestead, we have two types of birds, or two types of livestock, and that is chicken and quail. And each of them I have learned different things with their amounts. So to back up a little bit, when you're answering this question for yourself, how many birds do I need? How many chickens do I need? How many quail do I need? It's going to depend on, you first need to ask yourself, what is your purpose or purposes for them? It could be one purpose. It can be multiple purposes. Those purposes can change with season or just overall. And so developing or jotting down why you have that particular bird, what you're doing with them, is going to help you address that question. And that kind of seems like a no duh, but we'll dive into that just a little bit. I would think size 2. I can have 200, have a 200 person walk on your back. 200-pound person walk on your back, and you can still breathe. A lot harder to apply appropriate pressure. Yeah, okay, for different people. Yes, yeah. Yep. So it's going to take some practice, and it's very tiring too if you've ever done it. But okay, sorry, I getting caught on that. So when I first started off here on our urban homestead, as a lot of people do, we started with chickens, and my first thought was we want chickens for eggs for us to eat. Now, we just bought some laying hens in our urban homestead, so I wasn't thinking about meat birds. So our original purpose was eggs for us. And so we got 7 birds, and they provided eggs for our family and a little bit to sell as well. So as I've had my chickens, things have progressed a little bit. It's no longer just eggs for us. It's actually we sell a lot of eggs. We can't keep eggs. We sell pretty much all of them that we have. So it's progressed a little bit. And so my view as to how many birds I need has changed. Chickens, there's a couple other things you got to think about too. Well, I guess with any animal or bird, but is how long it's going to take that bird to start producing what you need. If you're doing a meat laying bird or a bird for meat, like a broiler chicken or something like that, I think it's like 6 to 10 weeks. I could be wrong, but it's a much shorter time frame. So you're going to raise that bird up, you're going to feed it, put all the energy and cost into it to get it to that point, and then you're going to kill it, and that's going to be, you're going to cull it, and that's going to be the end of it, and then it's going to be dinner. And that's bird's purpose. So if you're doing it that way, let me find out that time. I'm not sure. I think I want to say it's not 10 weeks. How long? And we haven't done meat birds yet, but how long does it take to get a broiler chicken to stage? Sorry. Okay, yeah, so I'm about right. Broiler chickens they grow quickly, usually slaughtered 7 to 9 weeks, so about 10 weeks. So in that case, if you're going to be wanting your birds for meat, the first question you need to address is how much of meat do I want? Do I want 1 chicken a week? Do I want 2 chickens a week? Okay, so if it's going to take 10 weeks to get that chicken to slaughter date, and you want 1 a week, we'll say, you're going to need 10 chickens to start with. That way you can slaughter them off and then do them. So basically what I'm saying is you're going to need to figure out how many birds you need and how often you're going to need to do them. With doing them for meat, it's a little different because you're killing them off, so you're constantly keeping your flock going. Now, if you're doing them for eggs, like we started with, our laying hens, a chicken's going to lay about an egg every other day or so, sometimes every day. But so if you're doing them just for you and you're thinking, all right, well, I want to eat 2 eggs a day, let's say, 6 days a week, so dozen a week. Then how many chickens am I going to need? Well, you're going to need about 3 or 4 chickens to get that dozen. Now, maybe I want my whole family to have eggs every other day. And so you're going to figure out how many eggs that is and how many chickens you're going to need. Now, chickens take about 6 months before they start laying eggs. So you got to think about when you're thinking about how many you need. For example, I got 4 new ones now, not expecting them to lay for another 6 months or for another few months here. And so I'm looking at how many birds I need. I need to find that number. When it comes to quail are a little interesting because quail in 2 months, you can take them to laying or less than 2 months to laying eggs or to meat or whatever you want. And so quail, you can change up your process or your plan for them, why you're raising them, right? Quicker than with chickens. Chickens take a little more forth planning. So if I need more eggs because now my chicken hobby or my getting eggs has become a little bit more of a business, well, now I got to think 6 months in advance. So how many am I going to need? So if I can get these chickens raised up and egg laying, am I going to need to buy 4 more right away or a few more right away or a whole bunch right away? I'm in an urban setting, so there's a few other factors there too. How many can I have? With everyone, it's going to be how much space do you have? You got to jot all these numbers down and figure it out, right? Well, with quail, you can raise in a very small area and you can change your plan very quickly. So you can have a bunch and slaughter them and put them all in the freezer. You could keep them for eggs for yourself. If customers are wanting more eggs, you can very quickly get more going. So you got a little more options there. When you're thinking about how many birds you need, as I kind of mentioned, you also got to think about how much space you have for them, their living space, their runs and all that, how much food you're putting into them. So that's cost, right? You don't want too many birds. So we were keeping too many quail for a while there. I don't sell as many quail eggs. I would like to, but that hasn't picked up there. So I don't need quite as many of those birds. We also don't eat quite as much as I would like. We do plan on stepping that up. But right now, I had too many quail. And when I sat down and looked at how many quail eggs we sell and eat versus how much I'm putting into the feed, I found I had too many quails. So my numbers were off and I needed to do a cull. I did a big cull and I'm going to do another one. But I need to cut my flocks down to what I'm using. And so my numbers were too many, right? I was feeding them too much. And so this summer we plan on doing a lot of fishing, a lot of camping, being out and about. And the focus is going to be away from the homestead a little bit. And so we're going to cut the quail flocks down so that way I'm not putting as much into feed in them. So we're going to cut those down pretty much to personal use status. And then as soon as business picks up on them, hopefully we can just ramp that up again. So how many birds do you need on your homestead, right? Kind of a big question. This is one I had started when I very first started with the chickens. I had no idea. I thought I'm just going to grab 6 of them. They sent 7 and we'll go from there. You may need to look at legality, how many you can have. You might know my thoughts on that, but anywho, and all those types of things and how much room you have. But I suggest one of the first things you do is sit down and write down what is my plan for these birds right now. It might change, but what is my plan for them? Is it for self-sufficiency? Is it for personal use? Is it for family use? Is it part of my prepper pantry? Now, my quail are also that, so the flock will never drop to 0. There'll always be 3 cages, and that is because those quail I can ramp up quickly. So part of my prepper pantry is those quail. If I have a problem, I have a lot of back stock of food, canned food, freeze-dried food, those things. But at that same time, I'm going to start ramping up those quail, and I'm going to want to do it quickly because the amount of food I'm putting in to them is going to dwindle, right? I'm going to have to replenish that. So I'm going to ramp those quail up really quick, get them really fat, cull them, and probably can or preserve as many as I can so that they have that dual purpose. But is it for that? Is it for sell? Are you starting a business? Are you selling eggs? Are you selling meat? Start by writing down all those factors. What animals do you want? What birds do you want? What is your purpose at the immediate time? Then you're also going to have to look at the time factor. Is my purpose going to change? Do I know it's going to change in the near future? For example, I'm selling out of my chicken eggs right now. Customers are wanting them. I know that in 6 months, I'm going to be able to sell those eggs. So if I get more chickens, it's going to take 6 months, but I'm going to be able to have more eggs, right? And so you got to look at the time factor. Can I change that time quickly, as with quail? A lot of different things. And Verna's saying same here with rabbits. So that was kind of a short little talk, and I'm going to hop into comments on that and discuss in a little bit. And it didn't give a definite answer, but hopefully just a couple things to think about maybe before you get birds, if you haven't yet, and just trying to set down. And when I did it, I actually wrote 3 purpose statements, I guess, if you will. I just kind of jotted notes out. And one was prepper pantry. I put personal use for egg, for food, for us, for supplementing our food, right? And then I also had sell on there, wanting to start a business. And so I had done kind of 3. I had started off trying to do all 3, if you will, and just get as many birds as I can right away. Quail math, right? Which it's fun and you can do that, but I wasn't going through them as quick, and I was going through more food than I was getting out of them a little bit, or starting to notice it going in that direction. And so that's why I decided to address these. And my suggestion in that case, if you have 3 plans, I want to do them for all of this, is maybe narrow it down a little bit. So prepper pantry, all that's an easy one. I can have that plan. All that means is I don't let my flocks drop to 0. I keep breeding sets. I can, revamp up, do that type of stuff. So that one I can set aside a little bit. I decided to back off on selling and just going more for the personal use plan. And then as selling picks up, I will pick up that way. And so doing a little bit of culling. All right, let me go ahead and hop in here. Oh, I saw something about mice, and we've been battling a little bit of that. I go back up in comments. All right, let's see. Chickens labeled as broiler fryers are young. Oh, okay. Tender chickens about 7 weeks old. Roosters are older chickens, about 3 to 5 months old. Capons are male chickens about 16 weeks to 8 months old. And stewing or baking hens. Wow, I got a lot to learn still. Are mature laying hens 10 months to a year and a half. Okay, thank you, Verna. And it is good to see you, Heige Homestead, as always. Welcome. Chickens take up a lot more space. Yeah, chickens take more. There are cons and pros to both, and I am learning this by doing it. So chickens they take up more space. They're a little more work. Quail don't take up hardly any space. Quail are messier. Now, quail, I find, even though they're a lot smaller, they actually go through a lot more food. One, because they waste a lot, but also the chickens, I feed a lot of my table scraps to. And you could do that with quail too, but the chickens consume bugs, table scraps, grass, garden scraps, things like that. So their food is a little bit easier for me to provide. The quail food has been a journey, and it's been one I've been on since I started with the quail, is I want to be able to grow. Part of being self-sufficient and all that is also providing the feed for the animals, right? In case that supply line stops. So it's something I can do easier for the chicken than the quail as of now. Now that might change, but the amount of food I'm able to produce myself, I don't think is going to sustain the quail on its own as far as I have right now. So that's something to look at too. Pros and cons to both. That's why I have both. And CB's here. Oh, yep, CB, yep. I have a mouse getting into your quail feed. I have had. All right, so I'll stop here and go on a rabbit trail for a minute. And we're at an hour. The rest of my stream is just going to be comments, fellowship, and then I might show a little bit of raw footage from Fenton. So anyone that wants to hang around for that. If not, let me know and I'll say bye. But so we have had some mice and I've been battling those, getting into feed. Been using the metal containers to keep them out, and then just different means of attacking them. So that can be a problem. Yeah. One thing I do to handle some of the waste in the quail shack is I let the silky chicken in there to clean up some of the food they throw all around. But yeah, I've been having to use traps. They're hard to get rid of. You can also adapt your diet, or rather, I adapt meal plans to use those. I'm not sure exactly what you were talking about, but I think that sounds like a good point. Same as rabbits, yeah? Okay. So rabbits, I'm going to get going this year. My compost has been great this year. We did buy a little bit of soil, but most of the soil has come from the homestead now. So that's the first year we've done that. I need to get some rabbits, though, for that extra cold compost to top layer and give some extra nutrients. And then I really want to do some rabbit skin crafts or items. And so that is an animal hopefully we'll get onto here. Farmers, gardeners, homesteaders, it's good to learn and to use what you have on hand, and you most certainly will have to if you're going for that. Excellent skill, though. Being a little bit of a MacGyver on your own will help you out in all kinds of circumstances. Oh, okay. You're talking about preserving, I think. Exactly, Spice, and learning how you can preserve what's available to you and use it. Yeah. This is I guess, I don't know if this is what you're talking about really, but it's a good point to make up. And if there ever was disasters and things maybe that put a kink in the food chain or in what people are eating, a lot of people would their bodies would kind of freak out, either go into carb withdrawals, or nowadays with the grocery stores and transportation and everything, what it is, we eat a lot of stuff that isn't grown in our local areas that wouldn't be our natural diet for where we are if it wasn't for our infrastructure and stuff. And so many people would be shocked if they had to live off of what they can do by themselves. I am completely newbie. I am too. I'm just getting there. So I'd be way off. But what about super sticky traps around the feed buckets? Yeah. I use the glue traps. I've used them when I can. So mice and I guess rats too, but they get smart. And the ones you don't catch in the mouse traps and stuff right away will learn to avoid those and how to get the food out of them a lot of times. And those ones are very difficult to catch. And so I have used glue traps. I don't like glue traps just because it's a horrible way to go, but I have had to use them, yeah. So, and when it comes to protecting the plants, the feed, the livestock, certainly do whatever I got to. Although if we get acreage, I'd like to have a barn cat someday. Oh, I see through, though, not storage. I'm not going to ignore you, but I got some comments to catch up on. Yeah, I've heard about that. A sonic thing you plug in to get rid of mice. It lets out sounds. I it may be completely fine. I'm sure I'm way off. I actually, I don't know if you've been watching me. I kind of talk about a lot of times. I think that personally, I think that a lot of solar flares and solar activity has a lot to do with people's or my personality moods and what's going on. Frequencies too, I know have a lot to do with stuff. And I kind of have a thing about frequencies and things I can't hear. So I probably wouldn't plug one in, but I do. I have heard they work. I didn't know we had mice. Uh, but the house cat keeps bringing them into your house. So you have to close the dog door. That's because they think you're a bad hunter. Hey, Sanctified, good to see you, Jerry. Good to see you. Welcome. Zach found a good one. Okay. So get a Jack Russell for rodent issues. Solo, he's a mix, but come here. Come here. I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to talk about how horrible of a rodent exterminator you are. He's a Russell cross, but that's my Solo, and he's no good at it. Do you have a dog there? Do you have a Jack Russell Renegade? I've seen you have one, or you've told me before you have a couple. I haven't had any good results with sonic mice repellent. Yeah. Shalom, guys. It was a beautiful Sabbath too. I don't know, but Solo was vicious to Kai. So Solo's my little dog, and Kai is a big Malamute, big dog. And Solo was trying to protect me and be vicious and bare his teeth, but he dare not bite that Malamute because he knew what would come. It was fun. The cat dog isn't a hunter, so she's referring to Solo that I just showed. He's a loaf of bread. Okay, well. Okay, very cool. They all hunt the rodents and Jack. You have good dogs there. You do. Mine will bark at them, but he gets birds. He'll pick the pigeons out of the air and things, which I think is funny. But so rodents, I have done a couple things. I use the mouse traps when I get absolutely desperate. I set normal mouse traps. Let's see. I don't use poison because the birds and stuff can get them, and I don't want that. I've had success with the bucket traps, and if you've seen those where they spin and fall in, I've had some success with that. I actually made one on one of my videos once, an electric one. No success with that. Let's see, what else? I found it's mostly just really trying to prevent them from getting in to where they're getting. I've had to pour cement in spots and things like that. I think it's going to be a constant battle. Yeah, I've seen Lucy get a mole in one of those videos. That was funny. Yeah. So mice are a problem. They are. I keep my feed in the big metal trash cans. I find that I haven't had a mouse get in that. They do get in just because they collect the the bird feed that's around. And so yep. I think a cat would, or Jack Russell, like you said, would probably be the best. Lucy's a good dog. We don't have mice in the house. They're just in the yard out by the chickens and quail a little bit. And I battle them and I catch them on camera every now and then running around. But we are very urban. We're here in the city. And so we have the city problems, the pigeons, the roaches, the mice, all that stuff. So those are animals we battle pretty much. Neighbor cats. So St. Jerry, I saw your chickens in the video, and man, so I've been shooting, I think 0 for 10 on catching your videos, and then the one live I caught wasn't too much there. So I'm sorry, Jerry. I've tried to catch them, but I did see your chickens running around. once I have no more pets to worry about poisoning. The Tomcat brand pellets. So the poison does work good. I don't like to use poison around here because I have the livestock and pets and stuff, but it does. You have a cat named Battle Cat. That is awesome. He is an excellent mouser. That is awesome. Battle Cat. Wow. Trained attack hawk for mouse control. That is a good business idea too. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So I'm gonna spend, we're at an hour 10. I'm gonna go to an hour and a half on my stream here, and I'm just gonna stay and chat and talk for 20 minutes more here. I'm also gonna pop up just some raw footage, of our trip there to the lake, our fishing, and just show a little bit of that on and off here while I talk for the next 20 minutes. Yeah. So that is a predator we do have here in New Mexico out in the desert is we have a lot of hawks. There's a lot of Cooper hawks and other hawks around. And one of them did try and steal one of our silkies. So I don't have any roosters. Besides quail roosters, I have no roosters. Unless, I don't think either silkie's a rooster, but roosters will help keep away the hawks and things, but mine do not. So what I do here in the urban area, maybe you guys have backyard chickens or you don't have a rooster or guardian livestock dogs or things, is I definitely keep my our suka or our gazebo now because it's not suka time. If you don't know what that is, we build our suka, come Sukkot, and then we build it a little bit better every year, and it's kind of our gazebo until it's done, and then we'll do another sukkah. But I leave it up off the ground, and it's in the middle of the yard, so the chickens have access to run under there. I also leave other places like that throughout the yard so the chickens can run under if there's hawks and things. Guy will eat them. Solo jumps up and grabs the pigeons out of the air. All right, so let me play. I'm going to place a little raw video clip here. Let me just find one. I don't even really know what I'm going to play, so we will find out. And we'll do ones from Fenton here, since that's where we were. And if y'all missed the chat, if you do replay and you go to, I think it was about halfway through, about 30 minutes in, I did bunker chat, and that's always interesting. I always encourage people to watch that. All right, so let me find here. Where is the video? There we go. Let's see. Let's find. We'll start off with one of us driving, right? It's a good start point. I'll pick one at random. There we go. Oh, your browser does not support the code. To convert it to a supported code, follow these steps. Oh, is it not going to let me play? Let me try this again. Let's see. It's going to make me convert my video. Well, bummer. I'm just going to play this. I'll put this up again. That was my winning catch from the day. So if you guys missed my winning catch, I guess I can't play raw footage. There's my winning catch. I got pine needles. I'm not wearing the same shirt. By the way, I'm wearing my Warrior there shirt from Sanctified. You guys, I talked about in my earlier in the stream tonight, just I kind of rabbit trailed a little bit on the things I put in and on my body, and I kind of mentioned a little bit their clothes, the fabrics I like to wear and things. But I do want to mention there, if you pick up clothes from Sanctified, you're going to get some good quality fabrics there, good stuff to wear. I do love that shirt so much. Actually, I need to get a couple. I need to put in an order from you. So I have something weird happened in the universe. I'm not sure what it was. Something in physics has changed. There's been a shift, a pretty noticeable one. And for whatever reason, my body fluxed a little bit. And now I'm an extra medium. Um, and so I need to pick up some more shirts. I've grown a little bit. And so I'll be doing that. And actually one of my favorite ones from you, I outgrew just a little bit. So I'm going to be putting in an order there with you, Jerry. Yeah, extra medium. But yeah, so I need to get some more shirts. I actually wanted to pick up a set of Zeet Seats from you too. So I'll be doing that later here. 120-pound baby. Who's a 120-pound baby? Oh, Kai. Kai is, yes. So me and Solo both had the same problem. For whatever reason, coming out of winter created some type of physics shift, and we became extra medium. And so we are working that off. Solo has going to be going to the vet, and so we're trying to get him in shape so the vet doesn't yell at me, and then get me in shape too. And so those shirts all fit. Since I've been packing to move, it's given me the opportunity to downsize. That's coming up quick here. Yeah. And that's a good opportunity to do so too. I found all your preparedness stuff and it's together now. Hey, that's a good thing. So with the move, it gave you an opportunity to get stuff together. 28 days. Wow, Renegade. Well, I know there's probably nothing I can do to help you, but you know. Well, it will be sad to see you leave New Mexico. I like New Mexico, but you are going on to bigger and better things for sure. And I'm excited for you. I really am. And I'm excited to talk to you. I love talking to people in other climates, other states and zones, and see how they do things. Because part of my planning and learning and gaining skills, preparedness planning and stuff, right, is learning how to do it in other climates and stuff as well. I want to know how they do it in case I'm not always here. All right, so I can't play the raw footage. StreamYard's not going to allow me without converting it. So I am going to talk a little bit and yabber, and at the same time, I'm going to see if I can put together a quick little thing with a little bit of raw footage to show. So I thought a lot about leaving the state. I do love New Mexico. I really love the Southwest desert. And I don't know if that's just because that's really all I know or it, but I love the skies, the sunsets. There's hardly any disasters and things. But man, I really want to get out to some other states. I've really wanted to go to Missouri and Arkansas. Ohio was great. I don't know, man. There's a bunch of places I'd like to visit and possibly even move. I don't know if I'll be here my whole life or not, but okay. So I'm going to try and throw a couple of these on and see if I can play a little bit of raw footage. I'll tell you what, man. It is so much more enjoyable doing camping, fishing, or mountain stuff in a vehicle that wasn't my little Kia. That thing was very difficult to do this stuff in, so it sure made the difference. Okay, there we go. Sometimes when I'm streaming, it won't pull up my video. And so let me see if I can throw a couple of these on. We've been going around New Mexico, looking at a lot of stuff. So we did the petroglyphs, and then we did Hamas. Okay, let's see, where am I at? Well, this may not let me do this. There we go. All right. Yeah, I'm just going to select a whole bunch of it, and then we'll just play some of it. There we go. I don't know how long this will take. This might take a minute here, but I'm going to put all these little raw footage into a little slideshow, and then I'll just kind of sift through some and play it for a couple minutes until we end the stream. Tomorrow, I guess I'll hop into this a little bit. I do plan on being live next Saturday again. I got some cool things there. That one's going to be a little bit more structured, and I have a DIY life hack thing I want to show. So that will be cool. Tomorrow for our Sunday morning stream, I plan on going live, but because of our trip and our really busy day, I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know how tired me or Farmer Casey are going to be. So that's going to be kind of, as always, our Sunday one. If I put it on, it's going to be last minute. If not, then we won't. I plan on getting videos out this week, as always. So technology is not my thing. The computer, I've never been someone to sit in front and play games or do things like that. Definitely an outdoors person, and so sometimes it's almost physically painful for me to sit here in front of the computer and do editing and stuff. I enjoy the outcome of it. I enjoy being able to share and do all that, but it's hard to get me in front of the computer and doing technical stuff sometimes. So I also miss a lot of people's videos and stuff because of that, unfortunately. But that's okay. Life is good. There we go. All right, so we're going to save that. That'll take probably a minute or two, and then I'll be able to play that. There we go. All right, and I'm back. Okay, let's see. Oh, Verna, you have a good evening. Blessings, and we will see you next time. First bit of advice for coming to Missouri. That is right. So you can get good advice, especially from New Mexico. Allergy medication. Did you come from New Mexico? I think you said you were here. That's right, huh? Allergy, okay. So sometimes I know people say when they leave, if they have really bad allergies where they're at and they leave and go to a very different environment, their allergies disappear sometimes. Sometimes if they don't have allergies where they're at and they go somewhere else, they'll develop them. I've heard that. I don't know. I really don't have allergy problems hardly ever, more than maybe a week a year. But that is good advice. My family struggles with it. So maybe allergy medication, and then go find someone who has bees. Go find a local beekeeper really quick and get some of their honey and start doing some fermented garlic honey with that and building those allergy, right? And grow at it proactively. There's neutral ways to help with allergies here. Natural ways, yeah. I'm all about, I'll use medication and stuff if I absolutely have to. If I have a killer migraine, I'll take a Tylenol. But we strive to do everything as natural as we can. Of course, we need the medicine, we'll take it. But we don't like going to the doctors. We're just that type of family. We don't like taking the medicine. All about the herbs and stuff. One thing with doing it naturally, though, you do have to keep in mind is it's different. Medication and stuff, a lot of times will act very quickly, immediately. It'll help cover symptoms right away. Going at it naturally, you have to build it up in your body. You have to put a little more thought into it. We actually came across, what got me started on doing natural remedies and stuff like that was so with my health problems and getting out of the hospital, I won't get into that, but my diet became a factor right away. And so with part of all of my stuff going on at that time, I was also digging into my relationship with God. And so, of course, diet became a huge factor right away. And but without going into any of that, what I liked about it, one of the things I really liked about it was how aware it made me about all kinds of things. And if you put yourself on any sort of diet or any type of thing like that, you probably understand. But man, until you do something like that, you just don't understand how much food you either think about it or you put thought into it or stuff like that all throughout the day. And so when you're thinking about aware of what you're going to eat, what you can eat, what you should eat, your diet or whatever it may be, you're putting a lot of thought into that. And that also gives time all throughout the day for me to interject natural remedies, things I need to take. So when I'm thinking, I'm constantly aware and conscious, mindful throughout the day of my food and stuff. It's a whole lot easier to remember to take that fermented garlic honey or some of those herbs or herbal teas or remedies or things like that. It's easier to attach stuff to it, my daily routine, I found. What I was gonna say I really like about it though is the mindfulness too. How much you really can anchor things and tie things, more important things to food and to your diet, and really help structure throughout your whole day from top to bottom. It gives you anchor points, if you will. All right, I missed a bunch of comments, I think. Oh, you know what they say, Missouri loves company. Yes. I am moving to Missouri. Water will be a blessing to have. That would be one of my biggest shocks. Yes. We talk about water a lot here. Me and my wife were talking about it on our way home, and how the city I live in, we have the Rio Grande, and there's some people have wells and things, but overall, most of the city in New Mexico would not survive without infrastructure and without modern means. Most of it would dry up pretty quick. I think about that when I water my yard all the time. And of course, I have try and prepare a little bit, but yeah, that would be crazy. So a lot of our plants, good majority of my garden, well, I guess a lot of my plants from my garden came from Papa Pepper in Missouri. And a lot of his seeds I got. And so when I started gardening, and I saw a video of his, I mentioned several times, where his family went out to the garden and had lunch, really got me going on gardening and stuff. And so I got a lot of his seeds, and now he's in Missouri as well. And so I thought it interesting to see what plants that came from that area that did well for him will do well for me, and which ones won't. And so kind of a side note, I thought that interesting. You love it there? I would love to visit. I would. I visited a couple states when I've lived here, and then when I was really young, I lived in Oregon for a while. But besides that, I've just visited a little. Definitely somewhere I would like to spend some time though. Man, you guys are talking about so much. I got to visit at least. So I keep thinking with this whole thing, this whole new rise, this whole new thing with Airbnbs and how easy it is to do this. I guess you can do a hotel, but I keep thinking, man, I really need to get some of these states. I would really like to see. I don't want to see the tourist side or that people get. I'd like to go to an Airbnb in some of these states, and I know you can get them either on a farm or a homestead or near one, or where I can see, what people, the things that interest me, what they're doing in those areas. I guess you can go to conventions and stuff too, but yeah. Bye, Verna. Have a good one. Your first bit of advice for coming. Oh, okay. Oh, I think I went back. You've already found a local honey source there. Hey, see? There you go. You're from Ohio. Okay. Someone was telling me that at QuailCon that they had spent some time in New Mexico or something. I thought it might have been. I don't know. I'm sorry. My memory's really bad, and I get info confused a lot. Yeah. Mostly cured you. Psych was in California for a while there. Local honey oregano oil. Okay. I'll have to look into that. Oregano. I've heard a lot about oregano oil. And we grow, we have Greek oregano and Spanish oregano, and I think there's one other one. And I'm hoping they all come back this year. But I don't know if I'd pan the, well, I guess I can. There's drying herbs up there right now. I think up there is right now some motherwort, and there's some dill up there too. But we got things. I like my herbs, and this year we're gonna be doing a lot with them. I think I'm gonna do some tinctures and things. Yeah. Okay. Your allergies hit you again. I know when I go. The biggest thing I notice going from New Mexico or where I'm at when I go other places, allergies aren't a huge thing for me. Is I notice I struggle breathing normally a little bit. I get congested really bad and sometimes shortness of breath. But when I leave and go other places, it's always been to a lower elevation. And the first thing I notice is my congestion clears up. I can breathe deeper. I get more oxygen sitting up here, over a mile high. And then going down to a lower level. That's what I notice, is just how much easier I can breathe and work and do things. I feel like I have more energy. Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way. So I will use medicine or hospitals or things when I absolutely have to. I would not be alive if it wasn't for medical science. I spent some time in the hospital, went through some pretty good surgeries and things. So there is time and place for it, definitely. But I think what I don't want to do is get myself to a point where I am counting on medicine to be my savior, if you will, and thinking, well, if I hurt myself or I get sick, I can just go and I'll just take some pills and it'll be fine. It'll go away. If I can't sleep, I'll just take some pills and I'll be fine. If I can't wake up and I need some energy, I'll just take some pills or do this and that and it'll be fine. That's the place I never want to be. I want to be a little more proactive about it. And all right, so I'm having trouble with energy or I'm having trouble sleeping. What types of things help with that? What process do I need to go? What things do I need to look at in my routine, my day? What foods am I eating? And there's so much more to your health and to life and to all these things than just one thing. And by just taking a pill and masking it or something, you don't teach yourself anything. You don't learn anything. You all you learn is to rely on something. So, there you go. But there is a time and place. Spice, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, I missed something. They're awful to deal with. Recommend probably allergies. Eat more quail eggs. Yeah. Yes, so they are. And yes, babe, eat some more quail eggs. Pharmacia. Okay, and that's kind of what I was getting at. People almost make pharmacia their god. Well, people nowadays make themselves their god, and then they just, whatever helps them out is a little demigod to that, I guess. But don't make it your savior. I do try to avoid it at all costs, definitely. And sometimes there's time and place for it, definitely. And there's time and place for needing a quick fix right away or a masking. But by consciously doing these things, there's other benefits than just what you're addressing. So if you're addressing allergies or sleep or something, and so you're learning and you're developing these skills and growing herbs and you're doing all this, there's so much more encompassed in that than just fixing your sleep or your allergies. You're learning how to grow plants. You're learning what does what. Maybe you're spending that time out there growing those plants and it's building my relationship with my family. Or I'm out there talking to God because he teaches me so much stuff through the garden. It's ridiculous. But you're gaining skills and you're getting a lot of other outside stuff besides just the root of the problem there. Great advice, Nikki. Yep. Papa Pepper is actually just, he's south in Arkansas. Okay. I knew he was in that area there. Yeah, I think I knew that. But anyways, it comes from that area. I don't try and dive into or remember, I guess, if I have addresses and things too much exactly where people are. I just kind of try and remember an area because I don't ever want to be that creepy guy that, I don't know. Anyways, I try and give people a privacy a little bit. Look up romantic tree house and visit Rain Cat on beautiful Washington Peninsula. All right. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll look it up. You had sinus issue for 6 months. Wow. Tried everything you think of. Natural, over-the-counter oregano oil was the only thing that knocked it out. Okay. So whenever I have sinus things, I start feeling a tickle or anything throat-wise, a little cough coming on, and man, I start hitting my fermented garlic hard. But oregano oil, we'll do that. Another thing I plant that I have been unsuccessful growing, but I try every year is mullein. It grows like a weed in a lot of places. I cannot get mullein to grow here no matter what I try. So this year I'm going to try and get mullein to go in my greenhouse because mullein is really good for those types of things too. It can also, side note, and I've said a couple times, and this is less than legal, so yeah, mullein seeds can be used if you need to get food quickly. There's caveat to that, so look it up. But Port Angeles is also beautiful. So you're talking about Washington State? Let's see. Washington Peninsula. So Washington State. Hey, Steve. Oh, that's all right. You're here. You're here in time to give your thumbs up, right? And you watch replay if you want. Tonight's stream's going way longer than I thought. That happens a lot. We're saying shalom, shalom to each other. Yes, you do. You keep pulling it. I don't keep pulling the mullein. Are you saying I keep thinking? No, I don't. I know I pull the weeds around it. You tell me that. Ow! I disagree. Garlic and mullein. Yeah, garlic and mullein didn't touch it. Okay, it didn't even touch it, huh? Oregano oil for the win. There you go. See, and this is also why community is important. Right now, my community is mostly online, but developing it, hopefully, I do hope to develop it in my local area at some point. But other people learn things and you spread that, right? So maybe I didn't know that about oregano, but now I do. Do not touch. That would probably help me. Oh, okay. I'll look it up. Yeah, Washington's beautiful. I'd love to get up there and visit a little bit. That's a little closer to me than the East, so I think hit the end of the comments. Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm going to take a drink of my water. We'll go till an hour 40. So we'll get 4 more minutes. If anyone wants to drop a comment in, a question you have for me, something you want to say, prayer request, anything like that, go ahead and drop that in the chat and we'll address that. Other than that, in 4 minutes, I'll play my little like and subscribe Casey video and we'll end tonight's stream. I plan on going live tomorrow. I plan on doing it, whether it's with Casey or not, if he's up or not. As long as I'm not too overwhelmed. But I still got to eat dinner and put away fishing gear and stuff. Thank you all for showing up. I really appreciate it. I know everyone's so busy. Your time is extremely valuable, so that means a lot to me. Oh, and BRB, the missus is calling. Renegade's heading out. You have a good one, Renegade. Hasta mañana, amigo. All right, Jerry. We'll go ahead and hop off here, it looks like. You guys have a good evening. I'm going to say my little saying, and then I'll play this little video, and then I'll end the stream. So you guys get out there, do the things, do it with purpose. Make sure you stay mindful throughout your day, and put some thought into stuff. You guys have a good one. Until next time, stay strong and do the things.
Remember to hit the thumbs up and subscribe.
Gooey.
Party pooper.
And we do have a prayer request. My brother-in-law, he found out he has lung cancer. Oh, wow. I am so sorry. Nikki, we'll be praying for that. And that's the best, that's the best preventive care we can do, right? And so we'll be praying for him, and most certainly. You guys have a good one. Blessings, everyone.